Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. I'm Wade Colt, President of the Rotary Club of Greenville. We are delighted to have you all with us today. And our theme for this Rotary year is Imagine Rotary. I'm going to still encourage all of you who are Rotarians in this club and those of you who may be guests to imagine what Greenville might look like with our club as involved as it already is in this community doing good work. And if you're not a member of our club, imagine what it might be like for you to be here and doing that good work with us. So having said that, look forward to our meeting today, and I'd like to invite Scott Stevens up to deliver our invocation and pledge.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to be with you today. If you'll stand with me for our prayer. Bow with me. Almighty God, thank you for the opportunity to serve our community through Rotary. Help us to make a positive impact wherever we are. We pray for peace, for wisdom, and for discernment as we work to make this city and this country a better place for all people to live. We pray for our elected leaders that you would guide and direct them, that they would make the decisions that would be best for everyone. And we pray for those who are charged with protecting us, both here and abroad, that you would keep them safe from harm. We pray for their families, that you would provide peace and comfort while they are separated. Thank you for our time together. I pray that we seek to promote peace wherever we are. Bless our city, our state, and our nation, and bless everyone here as we seek to serve others for your glory. Amen. Join me in the pledge, and remember the proper way to say it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon and welcome. I am here to say welcome to our guest and our guest Rotarians today. So when I read your name, would you please stand? Erica Padone. Erica is a guest of Jane Dyer. Christopher Taylor. Christopher is a guest of the club and with USC Upstate, so he is with our speaker today. We're glad to have you. Elaine Warzola, and I probably just murdered your name. Hi, Elaine, is a guest of the club. And then we have Karen Calhoun, who is a member of the Spartanburg Rotary. Glad to have Karen. Thank y'all for being here.
All right, we've got a little bit of membership news to share here for August. Unfortunately, we do not have a sponsor for this member news for August. As a reminder, if you are interested in sponsoring membership news, it's real quick and easy. Just shoot me an email with your business's information or whatever great information you want to share with the club. The cost is a whopping $0 to sponsor membership news. It's just a fun way for you to get a couple minutes of mic time here in front of our Rotary Club. But moving along, Delisa English, she was chosen as a SC Businesswoman of the Year. Congrats to Delisa. As you may know, she is the president and CEO of the Blood Connection. In her interview accepting the award, I just love that Delisa said it takes blood, sweat, and tears, pun intended, to get the job done. This dad loves a good dad joke, and I think Delisa nailed it there. While their work is challenging, Delisa has made her life's mission to help those in need of blood transfusions. Talk about service above self. Congrats again to Delisa English. I learned on my walk-in today that Caroline Stewart, I asked her if she had any membership news, and she informed me that she just finished watching her young grandchildren for an entire week. So if you see her back in line at the coffee bar multiple times today, please understand, and she might still be recovering a little bit. Also, fresh off the press, this just came in this morning. Fellow Rotarian John Clark Kent is now back in the U.S. after participating in a Clemson University graduate school study abroad program in residency at Oxford University in England. Graduate students and faculty were housed behind the stone walls of Magdalen College, which was built in the 15th century. John says it was a vigorous and intense program which focused on international business and global leadership. Projects included working with 2 UK defense companies. One was manufacturing and shipping personal protective gear to Ukraine, and the firms of Triumph Motorcycles and historic Morgan Motors that manufactures handmade cars with BMW engines. John finished up by saying, at night, the graduate students studied the famous pub industry in Oxford by sampling a few, see many, brews as a part of the cultural experience. The favorite pub appeared to be the Turf Tavern, which is where it is alleged that as an Oxford student during the 1960s, President Bill Clinton smoked an illegal sustenance cigarette, a doobie, but claimed he did not inhale. What a opportunity John had over there at Oxford. Scott Stevens, his oldest son, is graduating from Airborne School this Friday and will earn his wings down in Fort Benning, Georgia, as long as he pulls the shoe at the right time and figures out everything he needs to do before Friday. But will be our newest member of the Airborne School for the United States Army. Congrats to Scott's son and the entire family. And last, but certainly not least, Scott Powell is officially changing his name today. As of this morning, please refer to Scott as Grandpa Powell or Pop Pop Scott. They welcome their first granddaughter, Camila, this morning, and she is living over in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and is a future Rotarian for sure. That is your member news for August 2022. Don't forget, if you have membership news that you'd like to share, or if you'd like to sponsor membership news, please shoot me an email. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm not Stacy Mills, but I will be introducing our speaker today. We are privileged to have Dr. Bennie Harris from USC Upstate with us. He became Chancellor of USC Upstate on July 1, 2021, I believe, so relatively new in that role. He came to USC Upstate after a stint as Senior Vice President of Advancement at the Morehouse School of Medicine in Atlanta. Prior to that, he was Vice President for Development and Alumni Relations at Lipscomb University in Nashville, Tennessee. He also had stints in administrative roles at DePaul University, the University of Alabama, Birmingham, and Washington State. And he is a Mississippi native with a PhD in educational leadership from University of Alabama, Birmingham. And most importantly for this group, he is a devoted Rotarian, having joined the Rotary Club in Nashville and now a member of the Spartanburg Rotary Club. So we are really grateful to have him with us today and extend to you our warm greetings to a fellow Rotarian. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wade, for that great introduction. I've never been described as a devoted Rotarian, but I would take it. Rotary has been an important part of my professional life, an important part of my civic life, and so I'm really, really honored to be a part and to be here with you. Before getting started, I'm not going to take a lot of time, but before getting started, I do want to recognize two colleagues of mine, Karen Calhoun, who has served as the chair of our foundation board for several years, and a staunch supporter and a devoted. And that devoted would definitely apply to Karen and her role at USC Upstate. So I appreciate her welcoming me and her onboarding of me as I've come in over the last year to really take on this particular role as Chancellor. Also want to introduce Mr. Christopher Taylor, who is our Chief of Staff, and he's our Vice Chancellor for External Affairs. I've known and worked with Chris. I've known Chris for almost 30 years, or maybe at least 30 years. And I've worked with Chris for about 14 years, and it's been an honor to work and serve with him and the institution that we have served. One of the things that I like to talk to my team about as I come on to at USC Upstate, I talk about the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that our aim is too low and we reach it. That was a quote by Michelangelo, and what I love about that quote is that it helps us to dream and to imagine what's possible, to imagine the impact that we are having on our economy, the impact we have on the region, and more importantly, the impact that we're having on young people's lives. When I came to USC Upstate in 2021, one of the first things that I did was to pull together my leadership team. We came together and we imagined and developed what we call a transformative value proposition. And what that transformative value proposition says, education for all that inspires a thriving and just society. Think about those words. Education for all that inspires a thriving and just society. When we looked at all that we're about, the impact that we're having, what we saw is that we have a responsibility at USC Upstate to not just educate 19, 18, 21 years old, but we have an opportunity to educate our General Assembly, to educate adult learners, to educate others in the community who want to be educated about the importance, the value of a four-year degree. And we believe that it is to inspire a thriving society. Think about that. The growth that we have experienced in Greenville County, the growth we've experienced in Spartanburg County, the growth that we've experienced in the upstate is really what we want to position each person who graduates from our institution to thrive. And justice is equally important. And justice is about fairness, is about our ability to collaborate, to work together, and to be a part of a strong community. We came out of that experience with three very important priorities: to expand enrollment and support the region's goals for increasing the four-year degree attainment, support the economic growth and economic development of the upstate region, and build a bold, competitive institution. And when I step back, and Karen has heard this, I talk about my mother a lot. Her name was Charlie Mae Harris, and I had my investiture. That's the inauguration that a president has. I had my investiture in April. And when I had that investiture, I thought about a quote that my mother used to tell me. Now, I cleaned the quote up a little bit, but it was inspired by me going to college. After my first year of college, I came back home. I was pretty aware. I don't know if any of you have college students who have come back home and had 1 year of higher education. They think they know it all. So I went back home and I thought I knew it all. So my mother sat me down. She said, Benny, she called me and said I have a hard head. You ever heard that term? Got a hard head? So I had a hard head. She said, Benny, your cup is too full. You're not listening. Okay? So you need to come to every conversation with the empty cup, because there's always room in that cup for someone to pour into your cup. You don't have to take it all. When you leave that conversation, you can pour it out. But when you sit in that conversation, you need to have an empty cup. And so that counsel, that perspective has inspired how I have approached me coming on board as chancellor at USC Upstate. Mama said, live life with an empty cup. There should always be room in your cup to receive input from others. So I've had the opportunity to receive input from almost everybody I've talked to. It is amazing the number of people I've met. And what I've found even more amazing is how accessible everyone is. Regardless of his or her stature in a corporation and society, I've met with governors, I've met with CEOs, I've met with parents, and they've all been accessible. And they've all wanted one thing: a better life for their children and for the people whom they serve. So I'm so excited to be able to talk about the four institutions, the five colleges that we have: the Mary Black College of Nursing, the George Dean Johnson Jr. College of Business and Economics, the College of Education, Human Performance and Health, our College of Science and Technology, our College of Arts, Humanities, and the Social Sciences. Think about this. USC Upstate has graduated 4,050 nurses, licensed nurses in South Carolina. 1 out of every 5 nurse and Spartanburg Regional Hospital and Prisma Health is a USC Upstate graduate. 1 out of every 5. Okay? And 90% of them remain in the Upstate. When we talk about USC Upstate and the value proposition we are to the Upstate, we are a critical, important part of the economic growth and the educational degree attainment and the workforce here at USC Upstate. Think about this. Nearly 3,000 USC Upstate graduates are certified and working as teachers in South Carolina schools. About 1,500 of those work in Spartanburg and Greenville County. Again, 1 out of every 5 teachers in the Greenville County School District and Spartanburg County School District is a USC Upstate graduate. Pretty impressive for a school that many people did not exist, just thought we were the little dome on the side of the road when y'all went past that, right? I brought somebody on campus a tour and they said, I had no idea that all of this existed. So what's great, we have a committed faculty and staff, exceptional and motivated students. We have a community that is committed to USC Upstate. We have a beautiful campus. We have a balanced budget. We have enthusiasm for growth. And all these areas of opportunities to build strong leaders, to increase the 4-year degree attainment in the region, stronger town and county relationships, growing enrollment, improving retention, new and relevant programs for the market. Think about this. How many of us ever thought that someone can make a living being on TikTok? Had no idea what TikTok exists. but it's social media influencers. That's what they call it, right? And there are kids. My son went to school with a young man, there's several of them, who dropped out of college, and now he lives in a big mansion in California being a social media influencer. He's getting paid. He has more than 15,000 followers as a result. He's promoting all types of advertising, making money. Now, there is a downstream that's troubling because these kids are burning out and they have very limited social engagement skills. So we're going to have to deal with that at some point. But did we ever think that was a career? So what we're doing is asking our institution and others to reimagine USC Upstate, reimagine what education looks like. Everybody may not want to be an English major, so your English department has to step back and say, how do we participate in this market and create content around blogging, create content around a number of different things to create these careers that are career pathways for our students. USC Upstate is #1 public regional comprehensive university in South Carolina, ranked by U.S. News and World Report. We're the #2 public regional comprehensive university in the South. We have a $500 million economic impact. We have more than 700 chief executives. These are people who put on their LinkedIn that they're either a chief executive or business owners. We have more than 700 out of the 7,000 that we were able to assess, 17,000 that we were able to assess. We're the #1 college for veterans. #1 college for veterans. USC Upstate is #1 in South Carolina for social mobility. We have 69% of our students are women students. Now that's very interesting. That's very interesting. That's one of the things that we're looking at right now. And that's just not a USC Upstate trend. It's a national trend. There are more women attending college than men. And that does pose some level of concern when we step back and say, how does it have an impact on our society? How does it have an impact on our communities, on our families, on a number of different types of things? What's happening here, we're starting to do study and focus group with our men, and what we're learning is that in a place like Upstate, when you have great manufacturing jobs, you have great industry, there are more men than women choosing to defer college to pursue those types of careers. Nothing wrong with that. So part of what I'm doing is talking about an and proposition. You can do this and you can do that, okay? And that's important because several years from now, you may want to be prepared for new and different opportunities. So we have to create an institution that is nimble, that has different teaching modalities that allow people to go to work, take care of their families, and to pursue a higher education as well. I find that the great things in the world is not so much where we stand as in what direction we are moving. To reach the port, we must sail sometimes with the wind and sometimes against the wind. But we must sail and not drift, nor lie in anchor. Oliver Holmes. What do I mean by that? There are a lot of headwinds that are confronting higher education. A lot of headwinds. I want you to think about that. Think about the fact that we are a 4-year university, and the things that we have to deal with an enrollment cliff, we have to deal with COVID, we have to deal with a number of funding issues, but we have to continue to move forward and we have to sail. The demographic dominates the conversation. In my industry, just in your industry, you're constantly trying to find out what is said about our industry. Higher education apocalypse. A crisis is looming for U.S. colleges, and not just because of the pandemic. College enrollment bust and is headed this way by 2026. Because you know what happened in 2008? What happened? People didn't have babies, right? We were in a recession, so folks stepped out and stopped having children. That's going to catch up with us, okay? And as that catches up with us, we have to be prepared for these headwinds. The pandemic stresses on higher education teaching and budget models was pretty profound for all of us and still lingering, and we're still trying to deal with that. The threats to the K-12 pipeline, loss of college access support, decline in enrollment, learning losses. We offered several boot camps this summer for students who actually had a loss of learning in mathematics. Before they came to us to start as freshmen, first year, we had to build the gap and fill the gap of what they did not get in college, not college, but high school. Because those 2 years of remote learning, 2 years of limited instructional learning there is a major learning gap that we're going to have to deal with. Doubling down on pragmatism. I need a college degree for college economy success. What proof do I have that I'll achieve my goals? Financial worries lead students to seek short-term returns. Let's look at what's happening briefly across the country. The percentage of students attending college in their home state. If you look at South Carolina, some of you can't see it, but what you will see that South Carolina has 75% of our students attending college. What's happening across the country is that with this enrollment cliff, many of the southern states still have high school graduates increasing. Other states do not. So when we think about our workforce, we're having more and more people coming from New Jersey, from across the Midwest, to come and pull our students, and they're offering them very, very lucrative packages to take our students. When we look at where do students go to college, about 85% of students going to go somewhere between 500 miles or less from home. Or they're going to go about, what is that, 49 plus 15 is 65% of them are going to go within 99 miles of home. So part of the lesson for us at USC Upstate and local universities that we have to really take care of home and mind those opportunities at home. Now, what we're seeing is that that's even more pronounced after the pandemic. More and more high school graduates are choosing to stay closer at home. Our first year enrollment this year is up. It's up by 8% as a result of students who were considering going further away. They decided they want to stay close to home. And that's an opportunity for us as well. When we look at, in South Carolina, we have a 6.3% increase in high school graduates over 2020 to 2030. And the southern region is a 2.2% increase. Across other regions across the country, it is negative. And when you look at that negative increase, where are they coming to get their students? There's more and more competition in the marketplace. Now, here's some opportunities. When you look at in South Carolina, the graduating class between 2020 and 2030, what you're seeing that there's an increase in enrollment in Native American constituents, Asian Pacific Islanders. There's a decline in African American. There's an increase in Hispanic, and there's a decline in Caucasian white. So we look at the opportunities and say, where is our growth in high school? And those students in those schools who are not being very intentional and looking at this demographic data, we're going to find ourselves in a very, very difficult position. The same thing around the region. That's one of the reasons many corporations are beginning to focus more on D&I because they recognize the workforce is changing, the demographics are changing, but it's an opportunity as well. Growing regions hard to reach. Freshmen are traveling fewer than 500 miles. Adult and grad education is pretty crowded, but there are still opportunities for growth in that particular market. As you can see, there's a 3% opportunity. Easy to reach home market because they have existing name recognition. Shorter travel distances, easier to develop networks for them. So I think for all of us in our industry, these are some of the things that we're looking at. 14% of South Carolina graduates attend out of state for college. We had 39,000 high school graduates, 5,300 attend college out of state, 11,000 out of state freshmen enrolled in South Carolina. So we are an attractive place as well for people to come to. This is something that I found very interesting. In South Carolina, we have 74 colleges and universities. Did you know that? How many of you knew that we had 74 colleges and universities? There's a lot of, you knew that? There's a lot of competition in South Carolina. Okay, so you know that, right? We have 74 colleges and universities, so there's much more competition in the marketplace. Out of the 74, 33 are public, okay? 23 are private, not-for-profit. 18 are private, for-profit institutions. So students have a lot, consumers have a lot of choices. Higher education, we've had the luxury of not having to think that way. We believe if we build it, they will come. Well, they ain't coming. They're going everywhere else. And so we got to figure out how do we get involved and make sure that we can offer a competitive product. So it's out of date for faculty who don't want to change, for faculty who want to continue to deliver it the same way they have already delivered. That is not a mark of excellence. When you look at what's happening with the past 2 years, give us a glimpse of into a troubling future. 2-year publics are down by 14.8% in terms of fall enrollment from 2019 to 2021. Okay, private for-profit 4-year are down by 10.8%. I believe what we're having to do to differentiate ourselves, we have to continue to emphasize quality. When you look around and you see all of these billboards up, you've seen more billboards publicizing higher education than any time before. 10-year MBA, 10-month MBA, or this or that. Everybody's trying to find that way, an angle to get a consumer to come and to be a part of our institution. Here's something that I think is even more troubling. If you look at the state of South Carolina in 1991, not 1990, 65% of the cost of attendance was funded by the state of South Carolina. 65%. And 35% was funded by families and their students and their families. Okay? In 2020, that completely flipped. There's a greater burden on funding education from the families. And so families now are incurring more debt, which is deterring them from making a decision to go to college. And the state is funding us at a less and less rate. Okay. So our tuition has not grown at the same rate of inflation. We are not this plush institution that the brand has gotten out there for us. And so we're slimmer and slimmer. And what you're finding that we're going to be more and more competitive, and there is much more competition in the marketplace. Finally, I'm going to close with this because you all probably can help me out. Understanding Gen Z. Do y'all understand this generation? I am learning every day. They're digitally savvy. They have limited attention span. They're overwhelmed. They're self-directed. They're entrepreneurial, discerning, they're stressed and anxious, and they're frugal. So you look at this generation, this Gen Z generation, and you can see all of these things in it. They saw the impact of cost. Many of them are not trying to have big homes. They have no aspiration for a 3,000 square foot home. They have very little aspiration for a lot of luxury cars. They really are pretty frugal. But they're also very stressed and anxious. They're very fearful about their future. They're fearful about whether or not if I invest this money into college, my parents invested, am I going to get it out? Is there going to be a job? I'm close with this conversation I had with my son just a couple of days ago. I'm a baby boomer. I'm at the end of the baby boomer group. So you look at my resume, you'll see me, even though I moved several times, but you'll see me have an average tenure of about 7 years, okay? It's part of my career path. Karen, I'm going to be here longer than that. But you'll see me have an average tenure of about 7 years, right? So my son got this job with UBS when he graduated. Got his MBA, got a job with UBS, doing great, loving it. So he goes and have a conversation with this, but it was a contract role. It was a contract role, and they did a lot of contract hiring. So he goes and have a conversation with his boss about making his role permanent. The boss talked to the corporation. The corporation froze permanent budgets, but they love him. You got a bright future. You got this. You got all this going on, but he's still a contract employee. So he gets a call from the Coker Group to do consulting, paying him a lot more. And you know the decision he made? After a year and a half, to go with that group. That same day that he signed the paper, he got a call from 2 other organizations, one from Ernst & Young and one from another financial group, saying, Bennie, we would love for you to be a part of our organization. He said, well, I just accepted this opportunity. And you know what they told him? Can I call you in 2 months? Can I call you in 2 months? Now I'm stepping back saying, why would I even trust an employee who's going to leave in 2 months? Why would I want them? But that's the nature of the workforce that we're dealing with. We're having to look at remote work when we've never had to look at it before. We're having to look at a number of different benefits. I'm having my HR team to look at how we advertise our opportunities. Higher education, we pay about 32% benefits. Get $50,000 salary, What's the benefit? Is that about $67,000? Okay, so instead of publicizing a $50,000 salary, I need you to publicize a $67,000 compensation package. And you can go to get school free. So if you want to get another degree, how much does this cost us every semester? Well, 2 courses, you have how many credit hours? $435 a credit hour times 6 credits. I want you to advertise that. So I want you to give them a picture of the entire package. And then recognize in the state of South Carolina, you get vested in 8 years. And then I want you to give a picture of the cost of healthcare and how that will take care of you, because we're competing with folks who can offer more cash now. And I need to help the people who are interested in us and the people to stay, is that what's always glitter is not gold. And let's look long-term. So we have to talk about our opportunities differently. So just wanted to give you an overview of USC Upstate. I want you to remember my mother's quote, live life with the empty cup. There should always be room in your cup for input from others. So this morning I come with an empty cup. Is it still morning? This afternoon I'm here with an empty cup. And I look forward to receiving input and the graciousness of being the speaker today from you. Thank you very much for your time and for listening to USC Upstate. Is there a question or two that? Yes. Not enough and not well. Those are 2 answers. Our endowment is right around 16 million, okay? We're 16 million. We are 55 years old. We started as a 2-year university school for USC Columbia. Okay, for those of you who don't know, USC Spartanburg, USC Upstate is an independent Division I certified accredited institution. The University of South Carolina system has 4 universities in it: USC Columbia, USC Upstate, USC Aiken, and USC Beaufort. And then we have 3 technical colleges, Waxahachie, Union, and Lancaster, okay? So our endowment is low. We are regional comprehensive. So what you will find is that we educated individuals and we created this #1 in social mobility. It's about helping people's lives improve as a result of coming to USC Upstate. We're now on the cusp of having fundraising. We had a fundraising increase of about 246% from the previous year to last year. So we're on that cusp of growing and developing our fundraising capacity. And I clearly expect within the next, with help from you and others, I clearly expect within the next 10 years, we will have 3 times that much minimum. Our athletic program is a jewel, and I don't think we have leveraged it enough. So what we're doing this year, we have 15 Division I sports. What we're doing this year, we're gonna kick off our basketball season down in Morgan Square. So we're putting a basketball court out there. We bring in the community. We're gonna kick it off. Our team's gonna play basketball outside in the middle of Morgan Square in Spartanburg. We're gonna invite the community, have what you call those jumpy things for kids and all that kind of stuff. We're gonna have all of that. So we wanna help the community to own USC Upstate. Football and sports big in South Carolina. So you're not one of the big players, it's hard to get seen. If you're not in high school sports or Clemson or Gamecock or Tiger, right? So now what we're doing is really elevating our sports. So you're correct. We're gonna use it to leverage more. I did not show that last slide, but that last slide was a picture of a convocation center. I didn't intend to miss it intentionally. I just got caught up. But that last slide is a picture of a convocation center, 7,500 seat arena. And we're working very aggressively to build that on our campus there in Spartanburg, USC Upstate. A multi-purpose convocation center located in, it says downtown Spartanburg, because I've said to downtown Spartanburg, if you all want to invest in it, we'll put it downtown. If you don't, we're going to put it on our campus, bottom line. So it'll be an economic driver for that region. Between Bon Secours and Charlotte, there's nothing that holds a mid-sized event. And I think Spartanburg County and Spartanburg needs that. We don't have anything on our campus. At commencement, we have about 10,000 people come to commencement. We can hold them in there. We have concerts. We'll have all these types of things as well. Yes, sir. Of the 40 private institutions that was in my institution of 74, I don't know the answer. If we look historically at that, and you probably know the answer better, that number has declined because of a lot of rules and deregulation regarding debt. What you're finding in some of the stimulus package, you're finding that we're paying off debt that students incurred at a lot of these private universities. So they're going to do some major damage if they're not structured around quality and protecting the consumer there. And then we're going to have to try to figure out how to pick up the package, pick up the losses that have been occurred in those particular spaces. So I couldn't imagine how many would be around in 10 years, but if that same model's there, I don't imagine most of them would be around. Now, here's what's happening with the corporation. I got a call from Amazon just recently. Any of y'all work for Amazon here? Okay, so I can talk about it. I got a call. It was a good conversation, great conversation. And it was from LinkedIn. The young woman out of DC said, USC Upstate appears to be the type of institution that we want to work with. So what Amazon is doing is offering to pay for any of their team members to attend college and get a 4-year degree. And they're selecting 200 universities across the country, universities and technical colleges. So I think Spartanburg Community College has been chosen as well. And so what we're doing, we're standing up a complete website just for Amazon employees. I'm going to be putting someone at their site, at their fulfillment center, to talk to their employees, and they can get a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree at USC Upstate, and Amazon would pay for it. We're going to be looking at stackable credits. We're going to look at all the experience you had over the years that you have. We're going to take all that experience, all that credentialing, and assess it, and then we're going to give you course credit for that assessment. And then we're going to have other courses that you can test out of and not take. Could have been an HR course, those type of things. And then you may have 2 years or a year and a half to complete your degree, and they will pay for it. So we're doing partnerships like that because I think corporations like Amazon, Walmart, a number of corporations recognize that 5 years from now is going to take more than what you have in order to be able to adapt to the workforce and the technology that we need in order to be successful. I think we can have one more question. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to manage your time. I know Rotary is very timely, so I don't want to be the speaker that did not respect time. Okay, yes, sir. Yes and no. I am hoping that the free tuition that was offered by many of the technical college this coming year, that we will experience an increase at USC Upstate from that pipeline. Okay. I know in Tennessee, when we had the Complete College Act and we had free tuition, there was a bump and then it leveled back down. Okay. And so free tuition is not what it always crack up to be sometimes. People think that you're going to have this major enrollment, everybody's going to go to do that. That's not the behavior that other states have seen. In the technical college area, there has been a decrease in enrollment. If you recall that chart, there was a 14% decrease in 2-year colleges enrollment down. I think some colleges may be experiencing a bump and some not experiencing a bump from the free tuition that has taken place. I think the way the governor has some of that structure is for various type of technical fields. It's not, I think Spartanburg Community College was a little more broader initially because some of that was probably funding, but the funding we're getting from the state is to incentivize certain types of careers. I think that answers your question. Okay. Well, thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
Dr. Harris, thank you for being with us today and for your leadership and service in the Upstate. I think we're a better region because of people like you at the helm at USC Upstate. So thank you. And in honor of all our speakers, we are donating a book to Alexander Elementary. The book this month is Dream Street by Tricia Ellum Walker. We'll get Dr. Harris to sign this. Sounds like a very appropriate book given that our theme is Imagine Rotary this year. One of the exciting things I have to admit about being president of the Rotary Club is I have almost unchecked power within a very small sphere of influence to do things. And I'm going to do something radical now and change our agenda just a bit to invite Dave Carfelite up to do a very brief cart commercial for us. And then I'll close us out.
No, I won't be singing it. Okay, your team on CART this year is Jim Poirier, who's our chairman, Mandy Dutton, Elizabeth Lyons, and yours truly. If you don't know what CART is, it is Coins for Alzheimer's Research. It was an effort started in Sumter, South Carolina. It's not a national effort. It's just in the South. And since 1995, they've put aside $11.2 million to eradicate Alzheimer's. Last year, this club donated $3,500. A little less than $1 per member per meeting. About $300 a month. How much is that again? $300 a month? Remember that figure. Last week, we dropped $78 in the barrel. So we need to pick it up a little bit. But we're going to do some different things, some alternatives to try to make it a little bit easier. One of them is Mandy Dutton has created a QR code, which you're going to find on your agenda each week, because, you know, going in your pocket, looking for a bill, piece in your purse, looking for change to throw in the bucket, sometimes is a bit of a pain. You know, 19% of transactions in the country now are cash, and that's down 9% from last year, from the prior year, I should say. And so it's dropping. We're recognizing that. You can do your contribution just by grabbing your QR code and turning the camera on your phone. But the other thing we're going to do, and you didn't know I was doing this, was we're going to continue the cart match. And the cart match is simply, if you have a business that you'd like a little publicity from the podium here, you agree to match dollar per dollar the amount of money contributed by the club on a given month, which was around, see that? It's not that, and that may be a little on the low side, but the person who's already stepped up right up front is Wade has decided he's going to be our first month sponsor with the White Law Firm. Now, Wade does not respond to all nines. Wade focuses his practice on litigation, appellate advocacy, education, internal investigations, and government representation. Since joining Wyke in 2011, he's had extensive experience in high-stakes commercial litigation, representing both plaintiffs and defendants in state and federal court and handling cases for major national and international corporations involved in antitrust. Okay, see what you get when you pay for the spot? Anyhow, if your business wants to be a sponsor, just contact any one of the committees and we'll get you lined up. Thank you very much.
I really did not know he was going to do that. I did know he's going to do the song last week, though, and I'm thinking a song once a month is about right. So if you're a good singing voice, let me know, because I'm looking for a song for the next meeting. Okay, several things before we end today. First off, good things going on in Alexander Elementary. Of course, this Friday is the opening barbecue for the teachers there. We still need volunteers, I think, for that. Mike is raising his arms over there. I saw Lisa here earlier. If you would like to volunteer for that, it's going to be in the middle of the day. I'm looking forward to being there. Join us. Remember my 3 challenges this year: bring somebody to Discover Rotary, work for Alexander, and work for Kringle. We are also still looking for a co-chair for the teacher meal subcommittee at Alexander Elementary. And the great benefit of signing up for that is we already have a co-chair in Lucy Henry, and who wouldn't want to work with Lucy? So that would be a wonderful opportunity. So if you'd like to do that, please let me know. We're also looking for folks still to assist with tech support. Christine and Terry over here would love to get some more volunteers assisting with that. Also with public relations and social media and youth services. So if any of those touch your heart at all, please let me know. We'd love to get you involved. Cards are on the table to get somebody to Discover Rotary. Remember, this is the second challenge. Nominate somebody for that. Get them there. Our next Zoom session for Discover Rotary is August 16th, and our in-person session will be August 23rd at our next in-person meeting. Health and Happiness is coming up this Monday at Cork and Tap, which is a cool venue. Try to get out to Health and Happiness. And finally, our Kringle Holiday Village, a couple of updates there. We do have our launch event at the Greenville Drive on August 26th, where we'll be working with concessions and getting a lot of shout outs during the course of that game. And also, all of you will be receiving a Kringle Holiday Village survey from the folks at the Kringle Committee for ideas about getting involved in that program. So anything else out there? I see lots of other people involved. Anything else? Okay, very good. Well, good to see everyone today. Please stand and join me in the 4-way test. Things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? We are adjourned.